Connie lives with her husband, Rick, an income tax auditor she barely gets along with. Rick took a travel-heavy position at work just so he could be away from home 3 weeks out of every month. Whenever he is home, he treats Connie like crap, constantly rubbing it in that she doesn't have a job, blaming her for burning through their cash by spending too much money on her coupon obsession. Connie hoards coupons, buys stuff in bulk, and stashes it all away in the unused nursery. The silver lining to Rick being gone so much is that Connie gets to hang out with her neighbor, Jojo, who runs a YouTube channel on money-saving hacks and is just as crazy about coupons. Jojo lives with her mom, Josie, and is having a tough time finding a job. On the side, she flirts with Michel, the mailman, and tries selling makeup door-to-door, which isn't really taking off either. Whenever Connie goes grocery shopping, she hands the cashier a massive stack of coupons. It totally holds up the line, but it drops her total bill from over $100 down to 16. One afternoon, while putting away her groceries, Connie is hit hard by seeing the baby wallpaper behind the stacked boxes, so she tries to eat her feelings with a bowl of cereal. Turns out the cereal is super stale, so Connie channels all her rage into sending a hot-headed email to the cereal company. A few days later, she gets a letter in the mail from the company apologizing for the stale cereal, along with a coupon for a free box. When she smugly heads back to the store to redeem it, the cashier pops her bubble by explaining she isn't special. Basically, every company hands out free coupons if you complain. That gives Connie an idea, and she starts firing off complaint letters to tons of manufacturers even when nothing is wrong, scoring a mountain of coupons for free stuff. When Connie shows off her stash, Jojo is mind-blown and even offers to buy a coupon from her since it's still way cheaper than paying full price. That lightbulb moment makes Connie realize that selling stuff she got for free means 100% pure profit, making it a brilliant business idea. After doing some digging online, she finds out the coupons are printed in Mexico, not too far from where they live, meaning they could head down there and swipe a bunch to sell. Jojo is skeptical at first, but with her debt piling up, she agrees to help out. Meanwhile, over in Nevada, a loss prevention guy named Ken is doing his job at a local grocery store. When a cashier runs into trouble with a coupon, Ken steps in and immediately spots that it's a fake. The store manager wants to let it slide since the customer is an old lady who's been shopping there for decades, but Ken shuts it down because rules are rules. Ken is super rude about it, so the old lady hurls a few insults right back at him. The next day in Mexico, Connie and Jojo arrive at the coupon plant and watch the workers clock out. They pick out Alejandro and Rosa, a couple who seem to be bending the rules already but don't look dangerous. They tail the couple in their car, giving them a scare since they think they're about to get carjacked, but once Connie and Jojo explain they're just there to talk business, they get invited into Alejandro's place for a chat. Finding out Rosa is pregnant and that their paychecks are a joke makes it super easy for Connie and Jojo to pitch their deal. If the couple steals extra coupons for them, they'll resell them back in the US and split the profits. Alejandro isn't so sure about it, but Rosa talks him into doing it for their baby's sake. Setting up the operation isn't too complicated. The factory is split into 2 wings, printing, where Alejandro works, and redemption, where Rosa works. Normally, neither side knows what the other is up to. Every time coupons are printed, extra copies meant for destruction get made, so Alejandro can easily ship those extras to Connie and Jojo when delivery trucks head across the US. Customs won't cause any trouble because they just look like regular boxes of paper coupons crossing the border. A few days later, the ladies get their first shipment, so they build a simple website to sell the coupons and plug it on their channel. Their business instantly takes off and money comes rolling in, but it doesn't take long for grocery stores to notice something is up. Ken gets flooded with letters and calls from furious managers losing massive amounts of cash, prompting him to dig deep until he traces a credit card number linked to one of the coupon buys. 11 days into his investigation, Ken tracks down the housewife who used the coupon and learns about the website, which is promoted by a black woman on YouTube. Back at his office, Ken pulls up the site and spots the coupon sale. Meanwhile, Connie and Jojo panic because their payment account got frozen for bringing in way too much cash way too quickly. To unfreeze the funds, they have to prove they're running a legit business. Having no clue how to do that, they desperately reach out to Tina, a famous dark web hacker. Tina rips into them for being so sloppy and leaving a digital paper trail, wipes Jojo's videos, and breaks down why they need a front company to launder their money. She hooks them up with fake IDs, bank accounts, and a safe house, warning them not to spend a dime for 6 months so any trail linking back to their real names can cool off. They agree to give Tina a 10% cut, and she hands over an encrypted flash drive to keep all their files secure. Thanks to Tina wiping their digital footprint, Ken hits a dead end online. He takes his findings to the FBI, who pretend to look into it but actually laugh off coupon fraud and dump the file on Albert, their lowest-level desk worker. Since Albert has nothing better going on, he takes the case. Using JoJo's makeup line as a cover alongside Tina's fake IDs, their coupon hustle starts raking in serious cash again, all while Ken leaves daily voicemails for the FBI. 6 months fly by, and the ladies are dying to spend their cash, but they remember Tina's rule about washing dirty money first. Connie remembers a story Rick told about a client and decides they should buy high-end luxury items, resell them later, and pocket the clean returns. They talk multiple banks into letting them withdraw massive cash stacks by claiming it's salaries for their cosmetics company, then go on a wild spending spree, buying sports cars, boats, and a private jet. Meanwhile, Ken finally gets the call back from the FBI he's been dying for. Albert admits he can't trace anything online because a pro scrubbed the digital footprint, but since physical mail is involved, he promises to bring in someone who actually can help. 2 days later, Ken gets paired up with Simon, a postal inspector. Simon takes the job and tells Ken to buy some coupons from the site so they can study the setup. When the package arrives a couple of days later, Simon's sharp eye notices the return address claims Kansas, but the online postage code reveals it actually shipped from Arizona. Simon plans a trip to Phoenix soon and lets Ken tag along since Ken knows the local grocery scene inside out. Meanwhile, Connie books an appointment at the fertility clinic, bringing JoJo along for emotional support since Rick is completely in the dark. The doctor warns her it's her last shot, so Connie decides to go with donor sperm rather than her husband's. Later that night, Tina hits them up asking where all the money went, only to go ballistic when she hears what they did, pointing out they totally missed the point because using JoJo's brand had already laundered the cash. Now they have to rush to sell off everything they bought and slowly deposit the money back into the bank in tiny daily amounts. When Rick returns from his latest work trip, he spots the fancy new TV, and Connie covers by telling him she landed a sales job and ditched the coupons. Meanwhile, Ken and Simon start questioning local cashiers, hunting for anyone obsessed with coupons. When they ask a cashier, he says he doesn't know her name, but he describes her perfectly and drops her catchphrase, which Ken recognizes straight from the website. The following day, they swing by the local post office to ask if anyone recognizes a woman with a lot of coupons. No one recalls Connie, but at the mention of coupons, the staff dimes out Michelle because he was always hooked on JoJo's YouTube videos. Meanwhile, the girls are struggling to dump all their luxury junk on eBay because there's just way too much of it. Ken and Simon press Michelle in an interrogation, but he keeps his mouth shut. As soon as he's let go, he rushes to JoJo's house and leaves a warning note hidden in an envelope with her regular mail, which her mom, Josie, collects without realizing what it actually is. What Michelle doesn't realize is that Ken and Simon tailed him right to the house, and now they're watching the house secretly. By nightfall, JoJo gets home and starts celebrating her big deal with a driveway dance session, confirming to the cops watching that she's the woman from the YouTube channel. The next morning, JoJo gets wrapped up in an argument with her mom and totally ignores the mail, heading straight over to the stash house like normal. Ken and Simon tail her right to the stash house and spot Connie, immediately recognizing her as the blonde the cashier described. Simon calls in reinforcement postal inspectors to launch a full operation, and with all the pieces in place, tracking down Connie and JoJo's real identities is a piece of cake, especially after the cashier confirms their photos. Late that night, JoJo can't sleep, checks in on her mom, and grabs a bite in the kitchen. That's when she finally spots Michelle's warning note telling her to skip town, but she's out of time. Simon and his squad bust in and arrest Connie, JoJo, and Josie. After government agents raid their homes and the hideout, the bust hits the news, stunning Michelle when JoJo's face pops up on TV. During questioning, Rick and Josie immediately throw their hands up, claiming complete ignorance and agreeing to cooperate with authorities. JoJo tries playing dumb, but investigators already pulled the incriminating videos right off her hard drive. Connie owns up to everything, but gets completely surprised when told they could be looking at 40 years for fraud. To spare Jojo from hard time, Connie takes the fall as the mastermind, admitting guilt. Jojo gets bailed out and assumes her mom put up the cash, but it was actually Michelle waiting outside with a bouquet of flowers. Connie isn't so fortunate. Rick shows up only to yell at her and refuses to post her bail, prompting Connie to demand a divorce on the spot. As inspectors track the coupons back to the factory in Mexico, Alejandro and Rosa have already vanished into thin air. With the trail dead cold, Mexican authorities refuse to waste resources chasing them down. Connie hires a high-priced attorney, which pays off big time on trial day when he convinces the court the ladies were just taking advantage of corporate loopholes the same way big businesses do all the time. The tactic works like a charm. Jojo gets slapped with just 10 days in jail plus a year of probation, while Connie gets an 11-month sentence with a shot at early parole. Simon and Ken are pissed off at the light sentences and confront the prosecutor, who explains that the corporations begged the judge to go easy to avoid embarrassing publicity. Connie gets her divorce, and the fertility treatment actually works, so she spends her prison stay rocking a huge baby bump. The police seize most of the scam's cash, but miss the stockroom boxes in the nursery, thinking they're just old food, letting Jojo recover them, knowing Connie's been stuffing cash inside them the whole time.
Please like and subscribe.